The Auburn Tigers dominate Alabama, getting revenge and splitting the season with their arch rival. I'm Zach Blackerby. He is Darrell Dapprich, and this is a special live edition of Locked on Auburn as the Tigers take down Alabama 99-81 in a game that was not close in the second half, Darrell, largely due to Johni Broome taking over and clearly being the best player on the floor.
Yeah, there's a trend that I'm really loving is the way Auburn's finishing games and closing out halves. They were up 14 at the end of the first half and Broome had 7. And you just had to think that if he gets going in the second half and gets to his scoring average, Auburn can get some separation. So Auburn ends up winning by 18. They extend that 14-point lead. They're a +4 in the second half, even with walk-ons in at the last minute in 30 or so. You have to love the way the only thing that you would want to see, or the only thing you could look at tonight, and you're just not ecstatic is about is we wanted 100, right? I mean, to drop 100 on Alabama
Right.
is it's one of those things where it's a mark. I mean, it's a definite statement. I don't think Alabama defends very well, and they don't guard very well. So if there is going to be a team that you're going to get 100 on at home, Alabama is a prime candidate because of the way they guard. But at the end of the night, look, we have talked about, and for a little while it disappeared, the front court that Auburn has and how elite it is. And when that front court's on, they can be a really special basketball team. I don't have the final numbers in front of me, but what did Jalen Williams and Johni Broome combine for tonight?
So Jalen had 26 and Johni had 24, so 50.
I mean, 50 from your two front court dudes. 50 is, for a lot of teams, that's 3/4 of their scoring. And they got 20 points from the point guard position between Trey Donaldson and Aiden Holloway. Trey Donaldson, I think, played an outstanding basketball game tonight. And I think, too, look in the first half, Auburn had one turnover. One turnover. That'll win you that's why it's a blow up. It's blowout city. I mean, at the end of the day, Auburn was right there in Coleman Coliseum with the chance to win at their place. And I'm just going to say it. I'm the elephant in the room. It wasn't close at Neville. It was a blowout. It was boat race city. So I think you have to feel really good about that and the transference of that, if they meet on a neutral floor at the SEC tournament, whatever. Now, granted, Alabama's a good basketball team. I still think they're a good basketball team when they're shooting it well, when they're shooting it, in the 45% range from threes. But, we talked before, and I said, if you can hold them in the 30s in three-point land, they're a completely different basketball team because they're not going to defend. They could not score from the free throw line as consistently as Auburn was, and they couldn't. I mean, Auburn shot it poorly from behind the three. I mean, they were ice cold in the second half. They ended up in the 20s. They did enough in the first half to get that lead going. But if you can hold Alabama in the 30% tile shooting threes, you have a good chance to win.
Yes, especially with the way Alabama started the game. And if you would have told me after the first 5 minutes that Alabama was going to finish 9 of 26 from shooting from the three, I'd be like, oh, we're going to destroy them, which is what happened.
Right.
But yeah, and props to this Auburn team. Like you said, they did not shoot well from three, 5 of 19, and they stopped and they went inside and they let Johni Broome and they let Jalen Williams and even other guys that attacked the basket. Like Trey Donaldson attacked the basket. He didn't shoot a three, which I thought was exciting to see. And then Denver's only shot was inside as well. KD Johnson did a little bit of everything. Sometimes they did a little too much. I think 2 of 10 for KD was probably too many shots. But all in all, Darrell, I mean, this is, to me, and we'll talk about some of the impressive stats, and we'll talk about the way it was officiated and all of that. But this is a game that this team wanted to win. And they showed it on the TV broadcast where Bruce said, hey, if you want to do something for all those people that support you, you need to beat Alabama. And it's been too long since Auburn has beaten Alabama in basketball. 3 games is too many. I don't care if Alabama had one of their best teams ever last year. I don't care if you felt like, things weren't fair in Tuscaloosa. I don't care. And Bruce Pearl doesn't care. You just got to find a way to beat Alabama. And that's exactly what they did. Because Darrell, it would have been very easy for this Auburn team to be so emotional and so fired up and seeing all of their classmates and other Auburn students sleeping and missing class outside of Neville Arena for over 24 hours and just to play out of control. And you didn't see that because they knew how important this game was. The fan base showed out. I mean, we've been talking about this basketball game since the first one ended 2 weeks ago when they played up in Tuscaloosa. This was an important game. And so many times we've seen Auburn teams, not just in basketball, but all sports, get a little too fired up, get a little too antsy. And that's not what we saw here. We saw a very controlled and poised Chad Baker-Mazara. We saw a very poised Janai Broome. And we saw a very focused and poised Jalen Williams. And to me, when you look at, because not all games are the same. And so when you look at an Auburn team that's going to host Kentucky and is going to go to Tennessee and has put themselves in position to win an SEC championship this season, it's because they approached this game the way that they did. And that should fire every Auburn fan up.
3 points that I want to come off of. First of all, I want to touch base on something you said that I think is very underrated and something I was afraid of. I was afraid Auburn was going to be too amped up for this game, too jacked up. Same. The emotion and the pent-up emotion, Broome gets stepped on, you lose 3 in a row to Alabama. I was like hoping that there was, because basketball is not a sport that you want to come in overly emotional. You can turn it over. You can commit silly fouls. You can shoot long. You don't want to do that. So I was concerned about that. Kudos to Auburn for keeping their emotions at the right peakness level. Second of all, I think when you look at it, Auburn lost 2 games in a row. 2 tough games at Alabama, at Mississippi State. Mississippi State game I'd love to have back. I think Auburn played horrible.
Sure.
How do they answer? They win 3 in a row. And they win 2 of those about as impressive as you can at Ole Miss and at home against Alabama. So that's a huge statement. And then the third thing, when you talked about the emotions being in check and how everybody really, the clock started ticking, I've watched basketball for a very long time. And I can tell you it's a very rare or unique feeling where I start looking forward to a game 2 weeks out. I just don't look that far ahead. I don't. And the minute that game ended, for a few of my Alabama buddies that were texting me and taunting me, all I would come back was 2 weeks. I'm keeping receipts, and you're going to get yours in 2 weeks. I was so excited for Auburn to have an opportunity to play this game. I just felt like, the anticipation, I normally don't get that way 2 weeks out. And I think a lot of other people felt that way. It wasn't just me. I think you probably sensed that. Some of the Auburn fan base was feeling that, the buildup. Yeah. But Auburn didn't allow that to swallow them up. And Bruce Pearl it was just the right amount of, okay, you're in our house now. You're not going to push us around. We've got something for you, to where it didn't go overboard. And I think that's a really, really mark of a good team.
I think so. We've seen this team allow others to step up. I think you're seeing that a lot at the point guard spot right now with Trey Donaldson and Aiden flipping their roles a little bit. And I don't think everybody really saw that coming over the course of the season. It makes sense. But I mean, I don't think, and this is so silly, it sounds silly to say, but I think you'll agree with me. Talking about the energy that was in that place at the start of the game, Trey Donaldson just taking the ball and doing a quick 10-foot jumper, nothing flashy, but it was just the right play at the right time to set the tone. That to me was really understated in the fact that they didn't shy away with Alabama making their first 2 threes of the game. Just being poised, cool, calm, and collected. And what I imagine will be the loudest Neville will be all year. I can't imagine there's going to be a more energetic venue in college basketball than what Neville was tonight. Trey Donaldson. I mean, there are so many leaders that are emerging. And we've talked about that before, and they're all different in different ways. But, Trey Donaldson, I think, is becoming the leader that you want with the ball in his hands late in the game. Janai Broome is the guy that you want fighting for you on the front line next to Jalen Williams. And Chad Baker-Mazara seems to be your vocal leader And then you've got other guys like Katie Johnson who are going to get in people's face. The possession defensively by Katie Johnson at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet, but that's just a tone setter. It's just putting the guy in a straitjacket. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah, he put him on the spin cycle, like we used to say back in the day. And I think KD was 2 of 10, but his defense on Sears at some stretch during the game. I mean, you're not going to completely shut him down for the whole game, but there was a long moment there where KD did a really good job stemming the tide. And then what does it say about Auburn and how many different ways they can beat you when they went like 6 minutes without getting a field goal and still maintained a 15-point lead?
Right.
I mean, that's finding different ways. And I'm glad to see you've kind of come on board with me and fallen in love with the 10-foot mid-range jumper, like I always preach about. Most underrated shot in basketball. You got to love it. It's underrated. People don't want to take it.
Well, it's the least effective shot in analytics, but that's okay. That's fine. When it goes, it goes.
We have too much right now in analytics in all sports. It's ruining it. Sometimes guts
possibly.
and there you
possibly. Go. The best meme right now. You just lost to Chad Bacon lasagna.
How sweet is that your mom's nickname has now turned into a meme, and it will be tweeted at Alabama basketball Twitter. That's when you know you've made it. Right?
Yeah, people are tagging us in it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. There are just so many unsung heroes on this team right now, but I don't want to quit talking about Johni Broome. So do you think with this level of performance with Johni Broome that this will alter the offensive game plan moving forward for this Auburn team? Do you think, or like, is this sustainable for Johni Broome and Jalen Williams to do this down low every single game? Because I think against most opponents, it will be.
Most opponents, you said it right there. That's the key. But there's going to be a time when you're going to have to reach into your bag and hope that guards can win it for you, because there are defensive strategists out there that will find a way to take Broome and Williams out of the game. Now, can you take both of them out of the game at the same time? See, that's the key. That's a tall tale. It's going to have to be one or the other. So I think it's going to be very hard to take both out, because you're going to leave one exposed or open. Your defense is going to be exposed. But at some point, you're going to have to reach into your bag and pull out guard play. And tonight, I think Trey, with scoring 14, showed that, he's ready to contribute too. Is there going to be a time when Trey Donaldson and Denver Jones are going to have to combine for 40 themselves? Yes, there is. Because I think at some point someone's going to draw something up, especially in the NCAA tournament, to kind of, I'm surprised, to be honest with you, Zach, that Buzz Williams didn't. He is the exact type of coach that finds a way defensively to take away what you do best, and he couldn't.
But they didn't do this in that game. I mean, they haven't done what they did tonight all season.
No, I mean, and you can't expect. I mean, they have been consistently the two best players on the floor for Auburn, so you can say that. But it's rare that you're going to combine for 50. I mean, that's Tim Duncan. That's. I saw a stat with Broome this year in the college basketball season and what he's done from an assist, rebounding, and scoring. It's historical. It's there with Shaq and Duncan and Ralph Sampson, some of the just iconic bigs in the game. And so, yes, I do believe that Auburn should lean on Broome as much as they can until someone takes it away. Don't complicate it. If they take it away, then adjust and try to, because if that happens, Zach, then you're going to have wide open threes. And that's when Denver and Trey and Chad Baker Mazzara have got to take advantage of that. Because if you do try to take away Williams and Broome down low, as well as I do, wing shots, perimeter shots will be there for the taking.
Yep. All right. Go ahead in the live chat. Let's debate amongst yourselves. Darrell and I'll give our thoughts. Player of the game. Is it Jalen Williams? Is it Johni Broome? Is it Trey Donaldson? Is it Chad Baker Mazzara? Chad Bacon lasagna, whatever we want to call him. You can make the case for all of them. Also, Auburn, according to the live chat, moving up in Ken Palm. We discussed that too. Today's show brought to you by our friends at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall is where you can get all of your Auburn swag. There's no reason not to go to Alumni Hall. 3 great physical locations at Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville. Darrell, you've been to all 3. You can sign off on all 3 of those. During the game, an Auburn football parent texted me a picture of a package they received from Alumni Hall. So if the parents of football players can order swag from Alumni Hall, you can too. Alumnihall.com or any of their 3 physical locations in Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville. Jani Broome has to be player of the game in my mind. Yes, I know Jalen Williams scored more. I know that he was more efficient from the floor, but Jani Broome setting the tone and saying, no, you cannot stop this force down low. I think it's Jani Broome. I think what he did was even larger than the 24 points he stuffed the stat sheet with.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think he also had one of the most beautiful passes that I've seen a big man make.
So effortless.
Yeah, I mean, when you can score 24 and then you can pass the basketball as a big like that, and we know he can block shots, and we know he can rebound, and, oh, by the way, he's hitting free throws better.
Mm-hmm.
He's really made his game complete. But again, the underrated aspect of his game, when you get a big that can pass like that, and look, he doesn't just throw it 10 feet. He does that skip pass across the zone, cross court to the wing.
That's right.
You're going to get everybody involved, and that's why I'm saying if you start keying on him and double teaming him, the guards could go big. But that's why I like him too. Absolutely player of the game. He did it all. And they absolutely kind of just jumped on his back.
Yep. These are the top 4 teams in all of college basketball, according to KenPom, which is the metric we've all kind of agreed is the most important. Houston at 1, Purdue at 2, UConn at 3, and I believe all 3 of those teams have been number 1 at some point this season in the AP poll. Auburn is 4th. Auburn is the number 4 team in college basketball in the measuring stick that people care about most, Darrell.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that helps with seed lines come NCAA tournament time. Again, you know, we get caught up, and I do too, in the AP poll because it's the thing that we grew up with. Some of us grew up with. And KenPom's kind of a new, you know, data point. It's a new indicator. If you're 4th in KenPom and the NCAA selection committee takes that serious, let's say at the end of the year after the SEC tournament, Auburn's in the top 7 in KenPom. I don't care if you're
1 or 2 seed.
Yeah, I don't care if you're 14th in the country in the AP poll. You should be a 1 or 2 seed.
That's right.
And that's why it's so important. And I guess this is their second quad 1 win. We talked about Auburn had opportunities to get some, and they got 2 in a row.
Is Ole Miss still 1? Is Ole Miss still a quad 1?
Now, if it dropped off,
because they lost, right?
Yeah, they lost to South Carolina, which was a quad 1 loss.
Mississippi is 61st in KenPom.
And it's on the road.
So that would be quad 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be quad 1.
Yep. It's great. It's great.
It's insane.
It's been a long time, if you're an Auburn basketball fan, that you should feel as good as you felt over the last 2 games the way your basketball team has played. 1 on the road and 1 at home. And look, I'll just say it. I think a lot of Auburn fans were tired of losing to Alabama in multiple sports across the threshold there. And it was time.
Yeah.
And the way that they ended that streak was emphatic. I mean, it was a statement, right? Should have been a 20-21 point victory. It was 18, but still, they left no doubt. So that was a great way to kind of stem that tide a little bit.
Yep. I think so. As far as wins this season, I mean, this has to be the biggest win, right? I mean, it's not even debatable at this point.
Yeah. I would, the Ole Miss one was on the road, but Alabama's a better basketball team and they're your rival. So yeah. And their KenPom rating absolutely dictates that.
Yeah. Alabama's 7th still in KenPom.
That absolutely dictates that it's the biggest win. I want to, and I know we said we talk about it later, but I want to make sure we bring it up before I forget. I'm really getting a little bit tired of 2 basketball teams could play high level, very talented, rival game. I'm so sick of the ref show, Zach. The combined fouls, they shot 82 free throws. The combined fouls are 66 fouls. I know you pronounce Doug Shows, but it's spelled like show. And I think that's what he thinks is everyone's there to see him. He is the most arrogant official. And I can tell you stories about coaches that have had him on the court that we've had on shows that have shared stuff about him. But it's not, again, like I said, against Vanderbilt, the first time Auburn played at Vanderbilt, no one's there to see you. And it's ridiculous to stop the flow the way they did and extend the game that ends at 8:30. It's ridiculous. It takes the whole pureness out of the game. And I'm talking about both ways, because Alabama got called for more fouls than Auburn did. Both teams,
the way it was called benefited Auburn tonight.
It did, but again, it extends and just drag. I mean, you got two good teams that can get up and down. Now look, if you foul, you foul. I get it, but they just really, there's got to be something done. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of the ref show crap.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Question though, like real talk, if Auburn's offense shifts to being, let's get it to Janai and Jalen over and over and over again down low, I mean, we're probably going to see more of this if Auburn starts playing more of that moving forward. Is that something that we're okay with?
Well, I would agree with you, except that you look at the trends and maybe some of the statistics is certain officiating crews that fall in love with the whistle more than others. So if Auburn gets a crew that just lets them play on the road, then that's going to be tough. Because remember, we saw Broom get physically assaulted last year. Remember how many times we're like, and we thought it's because he talks too much. So the officials last year, he got violated and they wouldn't blow the whistle. So, if that's the case, I hope that if it's a foul, it's a foul. And if they go through Broom, but you just never know. If you get TV Teddy or Pat Adams or Doug Showtime Chows, the whistles will blow.
I mean, Auburn shot 50 free throws. I mean, that just looks weird on the stat sheet. Like, it doesn't look like a real thing.
I mean, it's telling me they tried to go inside and go to the basket.
They made 40 of their 99 points.
Yeah, that's big.
That's big. Free throws.
Yeah, you lose games when you don't go to the line that much and you miss, if you look at other teams. Totally. And so that was huge that they used that as an arsenal to win the basketball game because they weren't hitting threes in the second half. And that's how you can go 6 minutes without a field goal and still keep your 15-point lead because you kept going to the line. You kept driving the basketball. Dribble, drive, penetration was their friend tonight. And Alabama, Grant Nelson does not want to guard. He doesn't. He won't. You take it in the paint on him, he just does not want to defend. And so he doesn't
want to shave that mustache either.
No, he doesn't want to get any, mustache frillies, but he is not he is not a guy that looks interested in defending at all. And so when you realize that, and Broom realized that early, he just kept taking it to that kid. I mean, this ain't North Dakota, cuz you're going to have to guard somebody, and he didn't. And it was a long night. And I don't think Pringle is an elite defender. I mean, you look at guys like Cardwell, Jay Will, and Broom, they try to block shots and guard you in the paint. And I just don't think Alabama is at that level. They don't show any interest in that.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. Just five turnovers for Auburn all night is insane.
That is elite.
That's high level. Insane.
And I think they made Alabama turn over 16 times. What you got
15.
there?
I got 15. Yeah.
So you're plus 10 on the turnovers. You're plus 8, 10 on free throws made. Winning formula. You can afford to be on the losing end of the ledger from 3 points, just for 3-pointers, especially when that's Alabama's bread and butter. That's their forte. They live or die with the three. And again, you hold them in the 30 percentile range, you got a great chance to win.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people saying it's a live chat. Saw people saying it on Twitter too. But like the Grant Nelson kid acted like he wanted all of Chad Baker Mazzara. And it's like, brother, I promise you do not. I promise that would not go well for you.
He has that hold me back energy, right? The guy that gets real tough when his friend's holding him back and wants to get some. But the minute his friend lets him go, he takes a completely different demeanor. He's a hold me back energy guy. No, he doesn't want any of Chad Baker-Mazara. He's one of those guys, like we said, you want to take into a street fight or a foxhole with you. He's just tough. He's tough, and he can back it up.
That's right. All right, our favorite game. Next five games on Auburn's schedule. So we're sitting here a third of the way almost through February at 8-2 in SEC play, which we all would have taken. We all would have said, yes, we'll take that. So next five, you go to Florida. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't won there in a long time. You host South Carolina. Thank goodness that's in Neville. You host Kentucky. You go to Georgia. And you go to Tennessee.
3-2. And I'll take it. I'll take
3-2. So you've got us losing in Tennessee and in Gainesville. Is that what your 3-2 is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that for reverse jinx. At some point, you've got to break the Gainesville. So that's why I'm picking it.
Mm-hmm. We're getting a lot of 7-0s over the next 5 games in the live chat, which I'm here for. That's worked. That's really, really. I think the Locked On Auburn live chats really set the tone for that this season. I'm predicting we win Florida. I'm going to say 4-1, Darrell. I'm going to say 4-1 over the next 5.
You take that all. Look,
if they go 4-1 over the next 5, you win the SEC.
Say, God, would you quit doing that crap to me?
We're still on the same page. It's
crazy. I'm about to say something with my chest. Now I can't say it with my chest.
We can say the same thing, especially when it's
fun.
I
can't say it with my chest when you've said it already.
You can. I give you.
I feel like I'm gonna say this with my chest. If Auburn goes 4-1, they will win the SEC. If they go 4-1 in the next 5 games, they will win the SEC, or at least, have a share of the title. Still call themselves champs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I mean, what a great situation Auburn basketball is in right now.
I love that they weathered that little 2-game bump when people started to have some doubts crept in, and the naysayers came out, and it was like, okay, and then bam, you kind of get your feet, you kind of get right a little bit against Vanderbilt a week ago. Not a sterling performance, but you did what you had to do, kind of got your sea legs back out underneath you. And then the second half of Ole Miss was elite, and the second half of this game was elite. I mean, they have just scored a lot of points in the second half and put games away, and you love to see it.
They scored more in the first half, right? Wasn't it 55 in the first half?
It was. I'm just talking about how they extended a 14-point lead to 21 at some point and ended up winning by 18. So, should we address the elephant in the room too? I have to just say this so people don't think I'm ignoring it or being arrogant or elitist about it. There will be no laser light show tonight, and I'm very disappointed. If there is a laser light show tonight, I am getting arrested, and there are aliens. My wife is at a church function about this prom that we're doing for special needs youngsters for the Tim Tebow Foundation Friday. I'm saying that to say it's for a good cause, and she's there helping plan it. So if there is a light show in my yard, I will need help. I will need someone to come rescue me, because that means it's somebody else coming to kill me.
Got it. That's great.
And I hate it, because I want to give the people what they want. And this was a great night to have it, but it is what it is.
I mean, Auburn's lights worked tonight.
They did.
Which
and that was sweet.
Apparently is, I mean, we can't take that for granted, I guess.
Well, high school gyms usually lights work in high school gyms, right? I mean, they make sure that the school district and all the school board make sure that your lights work in high school gyms. You got to keep the kids see them seeing things clearly.
Mm-hmm. That's right. This was just such a big win for this program and for what this team can be this season. So, I mean, these next few matchups are crucial, because you're now 8-2 with South Carolina and Alabama, and Tennessee's right behind you at 7-2. Is Tennessee playing now? Is that why they don't have a game?
Yes,
they're a game less than us?
They're playing LSU.
Oh, they smoked LSU. Didn't that they played that at 6, didn't they?
Yeah, they played it at the same time that
Okay,
Auburn
so they
and
still
Alabama.
played a game less. So they're still
Right.
7-2.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
got
But
it.
I'm saying they played tonight. That's what I was at the same time.
But here's what tonight did in my mind. There is a clear top 4 in the SEC with South Carolina, Auburn, Alabama, all at 8-2. Tennessee is at 7-2. The next team, which would be your 5 seed in the SEC tournament. Remember, the top 4 seeds are what it matters most in the SEC tournament because you get a double bye. You don't play in the SEC tournament until Friday. Kentucky is your 5th seed right now, and they have 4 losses. So you've got a 2-game buffer, a full 2-game buffer right now, as far as securing a double bye in the SEC tournament. I mean, that's a big deal.
That's why
that was kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Last year and like going into this, I don't think a lot of people saw this coming, myself included. Like that's kind of the goal. And Auburn's probably going to do that.
It's why the Kentucky game is so big as well, because you give them another loss, but you also hold the tiebreaker in that scenario. So it's like you're actually up an extra game because you've beat them head to head. So, that's key. It's not as key if you finish tied for the SEC title. Sure, if you finish tied and that team beats you head to head, you get the number 2 seed, but you still get to hang a banner.
Right.
You're still champion. So but be tied in the 4th spot, you better own that head to head because they go to matchups that are you play everybody. And so I guess there's all kind of tiebreakers, but at the end of the day, you want to put Kentucky more separation between yourself and Kentucky.
All right. Any questions, comments, bold predictions? Drop those in the live chat. We'll stick around a little longer since there's 1,000 people in here. We will stick around for longer.
We want to
bask
in the glow.
Oh my goodness. What a huge win. What a huge win for the Tigers. I mean, is there a guy that we haven't really talked a whole lot about? I mean, Janai Broome, Jalen Williams, Trey Donaldson, didn't really see a whole lot of Denver. So something that's interesting about KD Johnson did not have a good night tonight as far as offensively, because he actually usually plays I think he's averaging going into tonight. I think he was averaging like 15 points a game against Alabama. But tonight he was 2 of 10 for 7 points, but he was tied for the lead with Janai Broome in plus minus, which you have to attribute to his defense. You have to.
There's that. I know you've seen the graphic on Twitter or X where they have all those combinations playing at the same time and what the most productive and efficiency percentages are, like the best 5 on the floor that you have. And KD's like in 3 of the 5 rotations that Auburn's on that list. And I think that has a lot to do with plus minus, but it also has a lot to do with what he does defensively and how he finds teammates with skip passes. It's just, he injects energy and enthusiasm that elevates his teammates, and he can do that without scoring.
Right.
I love that. That's why when he's on the floor, the efficiency rating is through the roof. I do want to see if he's 2 of 10, him back off a little bit, maybe be 2 of 6 at some point.
Same.
Go, I need to stop shooting. But KD is KD, and this team feeds off him. He's another guy that's a tough hombre, and I don't know. I'm from that school of thought and that when you want to play at high level basketball, you can be elite. You can be, a really, really aesthetically pleasing team. You can be really high flyers and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the teams that go furthest in the tournaments in the postseason are tough, physically tough and mentally tough teams. And I think Auburn has that component right now in their makeup.
All right, Austin with a good question here. Austin asks, Zach and Dap, that's us. Love you so much, Austin. What would this team have to accomplish for this to be considered a successful season? To me, in the regular season, especially when Auburn's sitting at 8-2, tied for the league lead, you want to win a championship. You want to win the SEC regular season title. I think that certainly would make it a success. If you don't do that, you hope that you're a top 4 seed, which a lot of bad things would have to happen between now and the end of the season for that not to be the case after this win. but you want to be in a situation where you could potentially win the SEC tournament championship. And if it's not that, I think surviving the first weekend, which Auburn hasn't done since the Final Four run, survive that first weekend, get to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament or better, I think all of that would mark this as a successful season.
I agree. I think that, a conference title in the regular season, like even a share of that.
Any of those three things make it successful, in my opinion.
And then I would say, I'm going to go Elite Eight. I'm going to say you go past the round of 16 and go Elite Eight.
That'd be awesome.
And that gets you, Auburn. I don't know. I mean, I know it's been a long time. I mean, the last time they were in the Sweet 16 was in the Final Four. So I get it. But I just think this team is built to go a little further in the tournament. And I'd be disappointed if they won 2 and then got bounced. Kind of like that team of 99 did. That was really good, and they got beat in the round of 16. I'd like to see Auburn get to the Elite Eight, and I'd consider that successful with those other things.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that all those things are still on the table and don't seem like a reach is encouraging. I mean, if you had to rank the likelihood of those three things happening, let's say Elite Eight. Let's say they make it to the Elite Eight. They win the Sweet 16 game. What's most likely of those three things? Auburn winning the SEC regular season, Auburn winning the SEC tournament, or making it to the Elite Eight. Rank those from 1 to 3. Live chat, you do the same. I'm genuinely curious what y'all think.
I'm going to say Auburn going to the Elite Eight is 1.
Is most likely?
And I'm going to tell you why. They are built to be the grind of a long season, regular season. And Auburn proved this when they went to the Final Four in 19. Arkansas is proof positive that you could finish 3rd in the SEC and go to 3 Elite Eights in a row. And that's what they've done. That's the blueprint. Auburn is built like that. They are built like a tournament team because of their depth. You get in a tournament where you play twice a week, and you have that quick turnaround, depth matters. So I'm going to say Elite Eight 1, regular season conference title 2, SEC tournament champion 3.
Yeah, I would go SEC regular season champion 1 is the most likely. Tournament champion 2, because I think the seeding is going to be favorable. And you talk about being set up to win a tournament in March. I mean, you talk about the conference tournaments day after it's the next day, even a quicker turnaround. Then I would say the Elite Eight. It's just so hard to get to the Elite Eight, Darrell. And I'm not saying this team can't do it. That's just tough to do.
No, I agree. It's one of the toughest things to do in basketball, just to get out of the round. When you get past the Sweet 16, when you get to the Sweet 16, winning that Sweet 16 game is like tough. Again,
the Sweet 16 win was North Carolina?
Yes, because you beat Kentucky to go to the Final Four.
That was the most lit I may have ever gotten, was after that North Carolina win.
Lit.
I mean, it was a late night for sure.
I got you. All right. I'm loving that.
For sure.
So
yeah,
I'm
having flashbacks now.
I just keep going back to, if Musselman and Arkansas can do it 3 years in a row without having any kind of regular season or conference tournament championships, why can't Auburn? This team has that kind of depth, has that kind of talent, has that kind of chemistry. They love each other. They love playing for each other. And so that's the kind of team. I'm not saying they are going to do it. I'm not like stamping it, saying book it. I'm just saying there's a likelihood that they could, because I've seen other teams that did not win tournament or regular season titles, in Arkansas being the one 3 years in a row, do it. And I don't know. I just feel it. Just feel good about it. I just have a hunch.
Yep. Glenn Ireland says, Glenn, is that really your last name? Is your last name actually Ireland? Says, beating Florida would be Auburn's most impressive win of the year. Let's get it. You buy that? Because it's a different kind of, it's a different angle, because like I don't think Florida's as good as Ole Miss.
It's not going to be the most impressive win of the year, according to people judging that. Ken Palm, selection committee, it would not. When they get into the room at the end of the year and they're saying quality wins, they would put Florida behind Ole Miss and Alabama. But for the Auburn fan base who knows how difficult it is to win in Gainesville,
Especially for us,
psychologically,
for
it might
whatever reason. And
exactly. I mean,
right.
there's been 3 House of Horrors: Vanderbilt, which Auburn has slain; Rupp, which they have not. I think that's a longer is a longer losing streak than Florida is, O'Connell Center is, and Florida. So if you overcome that psychologically for Auburn fans, it's great. But I think resume wise, committee wise, KenPom wise, no, it would be 3rd or 4th, depending on what happens. Now you go to Tennessee and beat Tennessee, it even drops less. So
yeah. If Auburn wins in Florida this weekend, which I'm predicting they do, I'm predicting an Auburn win in Gainesville. First win since '99, I think, is what we looked at last show. If they do that, I mean, you got to think Auburn's a top 10 team in the polls, right? I mean, there's no way you could find 10 teams with that pass the eye test better or have a better resume than Auburn. But there are still people that are just leaving Auburn off their ballot, which is fascinating.
They don't watch college basketball and they're idiots and they need to have their votes taken away. That's a derelict of duty. It's similar to when we go to SEC Media Days and we get a ballot. If you don't take it seriously, then don't give somebody a ballot. It's a joke. And, you're talking about a poll. Now, thankfully, the selection committee is different and independent of that. They don't just go right down the AP poll to seed people. We've seen that in the past. They don't do that. KenPom matters. So, but it frustrates me when people don't take their jobs and their profession that seriously and don't even watch the basketball games and leave somebody off. Look, Auburn could lose Saturday at Florida, and I'm not saying they will. Auburn could lose Saturday at Florida, and when the poll comes out Monday, still be 12th. That's how big this win was tonight.
Sure. All right. If you're in here, the 914 of you that are still in here, thank you for sticking around for as long as you did. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It would mean a ton. And Darrell, how can folks check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410. Love interacting. I'll be on with you Friday morning on Locked On Auburn. We'll talk all things, and then we'll be back here again Saturday after get a little Gator chomp.
Yep, that's right. But to Alabama and Alabama fans, just a reminder, you just lost to Chad Bacon, Lasagna, and the Auburn Tigers. Once again, please like the video. Helps the channel out a ton. Read all of our written work at auburndaily.com, and we will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.